Hey there everybody, this is Caitlin here and welcome back to another Force of Will deck profile video for you today. Today we are taking a little look at a older, well not necessarily older ruler, we looked at her before but now we've edited her deck a little bit. She came from one of the starter decks or whatnot if you recall correctly. We are actually going to be looking at Fiethsing. If the camera would like to focus on her please. Please focus on Fiethsing, very much so. I'd like to be able to read the cards or whatever while I'm explaining them. Fiethsing, 6 Sage of Wind. So we've gotten a little bit of like a, I'd like to call it, say, like a ramping, like kind of like a ramping deck here because we're going to be trying to like accumulate all that mana so that we can, whatever you want to call it. So we want to ramp into our magic stones or whatever so that we can play lots of at least 2 cards per turn so we can abuse her little like token gimmick or whatever. So Fiethsing has a really quite a hefty judgment compared to the other rulers. She's got like a judgment of 5, which is also one of the main reasons why we want to ramp a little bit in case we get the chance to flip her. She obviously comes with energize ability. If the camera would like to focus on the cards. This like camera on my phone is like having a little bit of a hard time focusing on things or whatever, so I apologise if some of the video is a little bit blurry. I'm still figuring it out. Obviously, Fiethsing has the ability that whenever you play your second card each turn, you can put 100 elf counter, wind elf resonator counter on your field. And then when she flips over for that hefty judgment cost, she becomes, obviously, Fiethsing, Master Magus of Holy Wind. She's an 800, and other elves you control gain 400, which is pretty nice. And whenever you play your second card each turn, you put 2 100 Wind Elf Resonator tokens into your field. So the main idea with this deck is that we're going to swarm our field with tokens, whatever, and then we're going to see if we can beef them up and whatnot, and go in and just attack and attack and attack. So, going into our Resonators, first off we're going to look at some mana ramping, and we're looking at 4 of the Sacred Elves, which is essentially our replacement for Elvish Priest or whatever. It taps and produces green. It's a 200, so it's not got the 400 defense for Elvish Priest or whatever, but I love the card art more, but like I really want to try and get a playset of the promo versions of these, because they are utterly gorgeous. So looking into that. Next up we've got Fiethsing's like familiar, which I've got 2 promo arts for. Tama, who finally has a name now. I don't think she had a name in previous sets or whatever. So it's kind of cool that the little key has a name. If we can just focus here. It's a 200 1-drop, and when this card into your field, you draw a card, and when you can banish it, and this card deals 200 damage to target Resonator. So it's kind of good for like, you can, immediately draw a card or whatever, and if they've got something like really weak or whatever on the field, then you could like, pay the 200 damage, or like take the 200 damage and stuff, and most things like 1-drop Resonators do have pretty low defense, so you're more than likely to at least do a bit of damage on something. Maybe not outright kill it, because obviously not a lot of things just have plain old 200 defense, but I digress. We're actually looking at something that doesn't have 200 defense, it's got less than that. We are actually looking at this magical botanical plant, which if I can zoom in and focus on or whatever, if the camera would like to focus, honestly, I am trying so hard to get this camera to work whatever with these cards, and it just is not working. There we go. Magic-born Vegetation. It's a 1-drop, 0 attack and 100 defense. But the main thing that we're interested in this little gimmick is that if we tap it, whatever, we can put a magic counter on this card. And when we banish it, we can produce a green will for each magic counter that's on it. Now, obviously, when your opponent sees this, they're obviously going to see this as a bit of a threat, and will probably try and like use removal or whatnot to try and destroy it or whatever, or outright try and attack it, which is mainly the reason why we're running 4. I doubt I'll ever have 4 on a field at any given time. The main reason we're running 4 is because we want to try at least get that chance to let one of them survive to the point where we can at least get a decent amount of will off them, because, each turn passing or whatever, we're getting like a mana counter on it or whatever. I keep wanting to say mana counter or whatever, because I'm thinking of like mana from the ancient magic cards. Magic counter, that I'm trying to get into my head, it's a magic counter, but we're running 4 of these anyway. And now actually getting into our Resonators that actually do stuff and actually attack. Well, we're looking at Melfee here, who is super duper shiny and maybe a little bit hard to read. We've got 3 of her. She's like totally adorable. She is obviously pretty good because she's got quick cast, so like she's like one of the newest Resonators who ever to have quick cast on her. She's a 300, 600, so you're not really going to be using her for attacking. She's a 2 cost, and I can't believe it was so funny. Like, I meant to look up exactly what her errata is, because see this little this bit here, it got an errata, and I can't remember what the new errata is meant to read like. The one printed on the card says, whenever this card enters your field, you prevent all damage that would be dealt to target J/Resonator this turn. And if you played two or more cards this turn. I can't remember what the errata changed it to off the top of my head. I need to double check that and look it up, because I meant to look up before this and it totally slipped my mind or whatever. But feel free to comment below if you remember what the errata is. I know that they posted about it, because I believe this and one other card in the set got an errata, but I can't remember what it was. And the other thing that she has is she produces will of any colour when you tap her. So she's basically another green ramp, which is kind of fun. Plus, she's totally cute. You gotta have a bit of Melfee in your life. Next up, we have Little Red Riding Hood, who is like when you initially look at her, she's obviously like, you think, oh, she's just a 2-drop, 300, 400, that's not too good. But like, that she gets better, like, obviously, the more stones that you have. So if we like to focus on the little text, please, camera, it's like playing up a little bit. So I've got a new phone or whatever, so like, I'm messing about or whatever to try and get it to focus. It's like a little bit funny, but I digress. When this card is put into your graveyard from your field, you put the top card of your Magic Stone deck into your field or rest it. This card gains 400, 300 as long as you control 5 or more Magic Stones, and this card gains Swiftness, First Strike, and Precision as long as you control 7 or more Magic Stones. So basically, the more stones you have on your field or whatever, the better she gets. Like for a 2-drop, she can rise up to a 700, 700, she can get Swiftness, First Strike, Precision, gets all that wonderful stuff, and obviously when she dies, you get a free stone anyway. Well, you get a free rested stone, but anyways, she's pretty awesome, so that's why a lot of people love to run her. And, you know, she's cheap, and she gets, like, bigger whatever the more turns are played. Next up, we have the adorable little Aria, who is obviously a vampire, not an elf, but, you know, she's pretty awesome. She's a 3-drop, 600, 600. She has barrier from dark spells, whatever, so basically she can't be targeted by darkness spells or abilities that our opponent tries to use. And our other Wind J/Resonators we control will gain 200, 200, so she gives a little buff as well. Not like a substantially big one, but it is still a pretty decent buff, whatever. And like, I totally adore her artwork. I knew I wanted to put her in the deck. A lot of people I know maybe don't want to run her, whatever, because they think, oh, she's not too good for a 3-drop 600, 600. But I think she's pretty epic, so I had to put her in here alongside her like new best friend, which is Christie. I totally adore Christie. Like, I wanted to make like a vampire hunter deck or whatever back in Ground Cluster, but I never managed to I can't remember whether I did pull a not Fiethsing. If I did pull a Christie or whatever, I can't actually remember. But she's at 4 cost, 1000, 1000. And as you can see here, when this card enters your field, if you played 2 or more cards this turn, this card and target J/Resonator your opponent controls deals damage equal to their attack to each other. So it's kind of similar to the Beast Queen's counterattack, except that she doesn't get a buff from it, I believe. Like, I believe Beast Queen's counterattack gives a buff. So basically, it's just the second effect. And you can pay a green, and this card gains 200, 200 until end of the turn. You can only play this ability if Fiethsing is your ruler. So we're running 3 of these because we're imagining that we're going to get like them out pretty early if we're ramping, because we have got spells and stuff to help us with that. The first of which being this one, which is the Magic Stone Research or Analysis? Research, I think. Also, I just realised you're not in a sleeve. For some reason, I forgot to sleeve this one. So let's look at this shiny sleeved one or whatever. It's a 2 cost, and if the camera would like to focus, this is going to be like a gripe for the whole video or whatever. Search your Magic Stone deck for a non-special Magic Stone and put it into your field, and shuffle your Magic Stone deck. So essentially, you're paying 2 to get another stone during that turn. So that's why we're running 4 of that. I also need to remind myself to actually sleeve this one before I go in and start playing it or whatever. The next spell that we have, we've got 2 of Rapid Growth. Pretty standard if you remember what Rapid Growth does. It gives 400, 400 to a J/Resonator. And obviously it's got Remnants, so we can play it twice. So that's why I've only got 2 copies spare or whatever, because another 2 are in another deck or whatever. So we're getting 4 uses out of it at the very least. And then we are running 4 of Wind-Secluded Refuge. Now, the reason I'm running this is because I was debating what I wanted to do. I did want to play, like, a field edition or whatever for the screen deck, but, like, going over a lot of the editions and whatnot, and the field ones, like, essentially, I wasn't quite sure which one to pick, and in the end, I thought I'd go with Wind-Secluded Refuge, mainly because when we play it, we get to draw a card, and obviously, it means that we can stop basically a lot of magic or a lot of abilities and stuff that can hurt our rulers, or like, you know, get rid of them and stuff. So obviously all we need to do is banish it and we can save them for a turn. So that's why I've got 4 of it. The next one that we've got is we're running 3 of the Last Drop. I actually quite like this card. I totally forgot it existed for like the longest time until I started looking at green spells or whatever that I could put into this deck, because like I was wanted to build like quite a lot of spells in this, like to make good use of the doing 2 spells, or not 2 spells, 2 cards within a turn to abuse the tokens or whatever. So what happens with this one is that it's obviously 2, and you can choose one. You gain 1000 life, or you put a target Resonator with total cost 2 or less from your graveyard into your field arrested. So mainly I would like probably like to use this to get the 1000 life forever, but it's also really good if, say, we lose our Red Riding Hood, or if we lose, say, one of our Melfees, we can get those back or whatever. Mainly, I'll probably be using it for the 1000 life gain or whatever, because you never know. Like, some people are like, games can go pretty quick, so you kind of need that little bit of life gain, and I'm really glad that green has that. Next one we've got 2 of, this card is so shiny, I actually can't read it. What's it actually called? It's called Favourable Winds, and it's a 4-drop or whatever. So you search your Magic Stone deck for up to 2 non-special wind Magic Stones and put them into your field rested. Then shuffle your Magic Stone deck. So we're running 2 of these mainly because they're such a heavy cost or whatever. They're 4, so I didn't want to run 4 copies of this, because I felt like that would be a little bit overkill, because then that would be like summoning 6 stones or whatever, and like we're really unlikely to be doing that. So that's why I'm only running 2, just in the off chance that we don't draw the Magic Stone analysis. Next up, we have 2 of these cards, which are also from the starter deck, I believe. I think it's, what are they called? Whispers from the Winds. It's kind of hard to read the cards through the camera lens or whatever, because obviously the camera is doing this little funkylicious thing of not wanting to focus on the text while I'm like holding it in my hand, because it's like doing some weird stuff. So it's a 1-cost quick cast, and you can reveal the top card of your deck. This turn, you may pay 1 green less to play the next card that shares the name with the reveal card, and then you draw a card. So basically, it's like draw, you get to have a look at the top card of your deck, whatever. You can pay 1 less or whatever to play the card in your hand. It's all good. It's all good in the hood, essentially. And the last spell that we actually have is we have Wall of Wind, which is another 1-drop that we can abuse. We can cancel a target spell unless the controller pays 1. So easily we could, like, say, drop 2 of these in a turn, trigger the token thing or whatever, and, you know, make our opponent pay a lot of stuff if they want to try and use spells. And in terms of Magic Stone deck, we're not using anything too fancy or whatever. Basically, we've just got all green foil stones or whatever. I think there's at least 10 here. Yeah, there's probably at least 10. So overall, this is the little changes or whatever that I've made to the Fiethsing deck. Let me know what you guys think of Fiethsing in particular. Are you going like totally elves or whatever? Because obviously she does give elves like a 400 bonus. And we've not gone totally with elves with her. We've mainly like done a little mishmash whatever of green resonators. I know maybe this build would be quite good for like say Sun Wukong or whatever. But I feel like with the ability to play all the spells whatever with our ramping and stuff, it would be really good for the tokens and whatnot. The other card I was considering putting in this deck, which I might sideboard just in case because I want to test it out and stuff first, I might sideboard in the Sprint of the Beast Lady, which is the one that gives basically all your Resonators 600 until into the turn, because that would be like a pretty good card to keep in this deck or whatever, even for a sideboard or whatever, because then you can boost all the tokens or whatnot. They'll at least get like to 700 and you can just swing for days with them. So I am probably going to potentially sideboard that just in case and maybe take out some of the spells or whatever to replace it with that. But I hope you enjoyed this little deck profile video, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of it, and if you'd like to see me build a deck with any particular ruler, then let me know. I am also taking requests for potentially Wanderer decks, which essentially I'm going to be building some decks for Wanderer format, so basically using Ground Cluster, Alice Cluster, and Lapis Cluster cards. So if there's any ruler or whatever, or any kind of Wanderer deck you'd like to see me build, please comment below. I love hearing your suggestions, guys. And until next time, guys, I will see you all later.